Welcome to the Cantina Chatter podcast. Everyone, and welcome back. I'm Victoria, your host here on the Cantina Chatter podcast, your resource for Star Wars, new and retro toys, pop culture, and randomness from the 80s and 90s. Hello everybody, and welcome back to the show. So New York Toy Fair has just come and gone this past weekend, and goodness gracious, how many new toys were there that all of us want to buy? There were tons of them. Lots of stuff from all sorts of companies, all the usual stuff we like buying, Star Wars, Marvel, DC, Jurassic, all that stuff, and so much more. It's just incredible. It seems like every year it's like more and more and more toys. And I think it's because those of us who grew up like hardcore on toys in the 80s and 90s are probably the ones that are mostly buying the toys into adulthood. People like me, people like probably most of you who are listening. So I think that's pretty awesome. It's also a little worrisome because I wish some more kids were into toys. It's hugely important. That way, toys is a hobby, and all these franchises that we love because of the merchandise that's come along with them continue to be successful and continue to thrive and grow. We saw a lot of cool stuff for Mattel's Jurassic World toy line, and Tim and I will be discussing all the latest toys from Mattel's Jurassic World line over on our Collect Jurassic World podcast. That episode will be coming pretty soon. In this episode, though, I am thrilled to welcome back Mr. Tom Chorlton. He is our Star Wars collecting correspondent. As he did last year, he covered Hasbro Star Wars over at New York Toy Fair. He saw a lot of stuff, and of course he's got feelings on a lot of this stuff. I have feelings on a lot of this stuff, and he also had a really good Q&A session with Hasbro, so we're going to play that for you. We're going to get into what we liked and didn't like that we saw from Hasbro, what we hoped to have seen. So yeah, we're going to talk about all that over on the YouTube channel. I am doing reviews once again. I put up a teaser a couple of weeks ago, kind of hinting that toy reviews were going to be returning. And lo and behold, they are certainly back. As you guys know, the whole COPPA thing that came down late last year really threw a wrench into, what I was doing with the channel, the toy reviews. And, we didn't really know how that was going to affect things. It seemed, based on what a lot of people were saying, a lot of people that I hold in really high esteem, toy reviewers that I've come to know over the years, and friends that, do this sort of stuff. We're hanging up their hats, and, we're going to basically see how COPPA played out. And ultimately, most of those people have come back. It seems like things aren't quite as bad as we feared they might be. And part of that is because YouTube actually came out and clarified a little bit and basically said that, if you're not specifically only marketing towards kids or producing content directed towards kids, that, you're not a channel made for kids, and therefore you can continue monetizing your videos, you can continue doing what you're doing. So that was kind of a bright spot in the whole thing, which was, very poorly organized and still isn't, completely clear as to how it's going to play out. But it seems like we're going to be okay. I dropped my very first review in 2 months, and that was on the Spin Master Batman toy line. We did a pretty wide-ranging review of the products that they've developed for that toy line. The figures, the vehicles like the Batmobile, some of the deluxe stuff. And it was a really fun video. It's a long video. It's a long review going into all that stuff and detailing how that stuff works. But it's a fun toy line, and I had a lot of fun putting it together. Toy reviews aren't going to be quite as frequent as they were before. That's just the reality of it. They are very time consuming, as you guys know. And like I said, when I was looking to end the reviews semi-permanently, I never really thought that I would be doing these toy reviews 7 years later. So I'm going to try and stick to the things that I am excited about, new toy lines that I find to be exciting and interesting, like the Spin Master DC toy line, and just things that come along. Any of the toy lines that I was focusing on before, I'm still going to be touching on things from them here and there. Actually, in the next review, we're going to be doing Jurassic stuff again. So I've got the Amber Collection Owen Grady and the Velociraptor Blue. Those will be the next reviews. And, we'll see what happens after that. But again, toy reviews aren't going to be quite as frequent as they were before, but I'm going to stick to the things that I'm passionate about, the things I'm excited about. And I'm going to focus also on some of the retro and vintage stuff that I grew up with, because there's a lot of really cool stuff from the past 30 years. So good stuff all around. I hope that you guys are there for it all. Thank you guys for your support. I know a lot of you came out when I announced that I wasn't going to be doing reviews anymore for toys as of, the end of last year. So really appreciate you guys. We're only doing it 7 years later because you're still watching the videos and the channel is still growing. And, people like you, our listeners are tuning into the Cantina Chatter podcast, which is really an extension of the YouTube channel. It allows me a means to go a lot more in depth about toys and collectibles and all these franchises that, I'm passionate about and that I love. And thankfully, you guys love them too. And you guys love all the discussions and the content and everything surrounding that enough to tune in. So thank you. And, we're going to continue to love toys and promote toys, and girls like toys too. So stay tuned, because there's a lot of good stuff on the way. All right, ground control to Major Tom.
Hello, how are you doing?
We're doing very good, Tom. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. It's 11:45 here on a Sunday night. I'm excited to talk about Star Wars. Well, if there's Star Wars to talk about.
If there's Star Wars to talk about, that's the thing, huh? We never really know. So, New York Toy Fair just ended for 2020. And I want to start off by thanking you for all the hard work you did. You went and covered the event for us at Hasbro's event, in which they showcased all of their new brands. They had a panel, they had Q&As, and you went and dealt with all that. So thank you so much for doing all that.
Yeah, it's absolutely my pleasure.
I know a lot of people think that, oh, it's awesome, you get to go to, to cover this stuff. It's like, yeah, it's fun, but it's also a lot of work.
It's going into Manhattan on a weekend, not something I would ever choose to do.
Yeah, and then that on top of it. So
yeah, Midtown.
I do apologize for my voice. I'm a little bit under the weather here, trying to get over tonsillitis. So, yeah, that's what's going on with that. But yeah, we'll make it work.
Yeah, you sound good to me. I think you're fine.
Good.
I just hope your throat isn't too sore.
I think we'll be okay here. So,
great.
All right. So very good. So, yeah. So basically, Hasbro does this event every year. It's kind of a separate event from the core of New York Toy Fair. And it's located at the Times Center. Is that correct?
Yes. Yep. Mm-hmm. We're on 41st Street.
So they have all of their product there. They got all their own setup. So that's, Hasbro. That's Power Rangers. That's Transformers. That's Marvel Legends. That's Star Wars.
Magic the Gathering.
My Little Pony.
My Little Pony.
Do they do Trolls?
All sorts of board games and stuff too. I don't know. I think they might do Trolls.
They do. They do Trolls. They do, actually. Yeah.
Do they? Yeah.
They do Trolls. They do, like you said, the board games. They do Monopoly. They do. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They do a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I went and chatted. I chatted with one of the girls about Monopoly because there weren't as many people over there in the board game section as the nerd-tastic section. So I learned about the longest game in the world version of Monopoly, which I might have to subject my friends to.
I love Monopoly.
It's fun.
It is, and it's like I know it takes forever and a half to get through a game of Monopoly, but strangely, I'm usually okay with that.
You want to know a fun fact about Monopoly?
Yes.
When I looked up the rules, if you look at the rules, at least in earlier, I think probably any version you look at. When you get to the end of the game comes when there are only 2 players left. You don't go back and forth forever. when it's down to 2 players, they count up the amount of money and property they've got, and whoever's got the most wins. That's how the game ends.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Check it out, because then the next time you play it, you don't have to spend the last 3 hours just trading back and forth with someone.
We have a game, like me and my husband and one of his college buddies who comes to visit, a couple times a year. And we've had it on pause for like 2 years now, but I took pictures of everything I had in my notes on my phone, like who had what amount of money, what properties they owned and all that. And
oh, wow.
Yeah, we just continue it, but it's been on hold for like 2 years. So.
Wow, that's some dedication right there. But yeah, I mean, they've got all sorts of properties. They've got all the Marvel Legends stuff, and they've got the Ghostbusters, which is the big thing this year.
Yeah, it is.
They had Frozen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just massive.
Yeah, that's right. They got the Disney Princess stuff too now.
Yeah, yeah, which wasn't part of the fan presentation at all. That was all the, I guess you'd say, more boys skewing stuff.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry about that, Tom. I'm sure you wanted to see, Disney Princess.
I was really bummed to miss out on it. I love Elsa and the other one.
The other one.
I don't know. I don't know the characters' names. There's Elsa and there's
Anna.
Which one is she? The Anna? Yeah, Anna. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
right. I did like the movie though. I saw the movie once and I really enjoyed it.
I love Frozen. I love it.
Yeah. It was real. Yeah.
All right. So, I gotta commend Hasbro for live streaming the panel this time. This is the first time that they've actually done that, which enables people like me who, aren't able to be there to check out the whole thing. Now, it was a very long panel. It did run for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
But
saved my Twitter fingers, that's for sure.
Yes, it did. So, we eliminate the live tweeting because all you have to do is tune into Facebook Live, and that's where you get to see Hasbro Pulse doing their panels. And it went off without a hitch for the most part. It seemed like there were a couple of camera issues. Sound issue here and there, but for the most part, they did a really good job. And, I think it's awesome that they did that. And I wish that all companies would do that with this sort of stuff. So,
I thought that was really cool that they did that. If I was at home, I'd have tuned it in.
Totally. So you were there through this whole thing and, listening to all the different, presentations that were going on, and we mentioned a good amount of the properties that Hasbro has that they're licensing from various companies and such. But just real quick, what stood out to you from what you saw with those different presentations?
The Marvel Legends one are of course like the king these days. I'm surprised they didn't end with it. There's so much stuff in it. There's like I couldn't tell you the number of waves of stuff they showed for their 6-inch Legends series and all the different versions of it, but it's probably like 5 or 6 waves of stuff.
Yeah.
And some of those things, like the Spider-Man ones, they showed these Spider-Man ones that are going to be on like old style card backs based on like the old 90s cartoon, I think. And they only showed 3 of those figures, and I happen to know that there's already like 2 or 3 other ones that are coming in that style of stuff that they didn't show. So and apparently the movie X-Men and Deadpool stuff, they only showed a few of those, even though it was 8 characters, I think, and there's gonna be more of those. So I mean they showed a lot of stuff. And the big finale was of course the Ghostbusters, which they, if you check the live stream out, you saw that Ivan Reitman and his son, who's directing the new Ghostbusters movie, came out onto the stage for that. That was pretty exciting.
That was really cool.
Yeah.
Like you said, Marvel definitely took the. It looks like that they're kind of like the golden, boy of Hasbro right now, like for these so-called boys brands, if you want to call them that.
Yeah. That's not the right term. I used the wrong term there, but I guess you kind of like nerd brands.
Yeah, I don't know. Golden Goose Egg, something.
Yeah.
So they're doing really, really well, obviously, and they had a lot of stuff on display, and they had a lot of things that they announced. I thought it was really cool seeing that they're doing Marvel Legends for like, the live action, like the X-Men films and Deadpool.
Yeah.
And, I mean, that stuff people have been asking for a really long time, and it's kind of weird that it took this long. I assume there was something tied up with, licensing and likeness rights and that sort of stuff, but
it's gotta be because Disney owns it all now.
Yeah. Now they can do that. So, lots of cool stuff. And like
did you pre-order your Wolverine?
Was he up already?
Yeah, you can get the white shirt Wolverine. You can
I didn't
pre-order
know
him
that.
now on Amazon.
Really? I didn't know. Is he an Amazon exclusive?
Yeah.
I did not know this.
I don't know if he's Amazon exclusive or not. He's $25. Hop on that computer and pre-order him. He doesn't come out till September, but,
Yeah,
it's Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, no, I got a lot of pre-orders in yesterday. I took advantage of, Hasbro Pulse. After each panel, they were throwing up, more and more figures following those panels. And yeah, I definitely took advantage of getting those. So yeah, it says here that this is a Amazon exclusive. All right, Hugh Jackman, go ahead and get into my cart.
Heck yeah.
I am bringing you home, sir.
All
right.
We all want to say that to Hugh Jackman.
Yes, we do. All right, pre-ordered. Thank you, Tom.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like you said, Ghostbusters was like the really big thing this year. There was a lot of excitement behind it. And I'm actually surprised because in 2016, there wasn't quite this level of excitement. And I don't know if it has more to do with this being a continuation of the original story or if it's because essentially the toy line is reverting back to Hasbro, who, obviously now owns, bought out Kenner a long time ago. And Kenner did the original toy line. But there's a lot of hype. There's been a lot of excitement, for the toy line. I don't know so much for the movie, but definitely for the toys. And now that we're able to see, what they've had cooking up and what's going to be coming later this year, there's a lot of excitement for the things that they showed off.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, did you pre-order any of those? They don't call them the Black Series, but they're the
Plasma collection.
The Plasma Series. Plasma collection. Yeah. Did you order any of those?
I did. I pre-ordered all the 6-inch. So it's 6 figures. You build them all, and then you buy them all, and then you can build the Terror Dog.
Yeah, which is amazing.
Which is amazing. Now I do have a couple of gripes with this line. Now I think the figures themselves look awesome. But Mattel basically already has done these before in 6-inch, and they looked pretty good. And if you bought them the correct way, you were able to get plasma streams with all of the figures. With these ones, or the neutron streams or whatever we're calling them now. So
the lasers things.
Yeah, the cool flashy light bright things.
The special effects.
The wiggly things, yeah. So only Winston comes with one of those.
Yeah, that's
maddening.
That's dumb.
It's maddening.
That's really dumb. Yeah, I I was really startled by that.
Yeah,
that's not a good idea.
I guess
everyone should have that.
I guess maybe the Mattel ones will fit on the Hasbro figures, but yeah.
I think that's pretty unlikely.
Yeah, probably, but.
Yeah, that's a perplexing decision.
Yeah, I really don't get, and I think it's kind of, it's a little upsetting. And then the other thing I would say is, like I mentioned, Mattel's already done these in 6-inch. Diamond Select.
Diamond Select.
Yeah, in 7-inch, and those are okay. I do have those as well. Then
how many times can you re-release these same 4 guys?
You know what I'm thinking though is like. If they're all the stuff that they showed is based off the classic movies, does that mean that there's not going to really be any toys for the new movies, or are they just not showing them yet?
No, there'll definitely be stuff for the new movies. There'll definitely be stuff. They'll just wait until the movie comes out, or just before the movie comes out to reveal that stuff.
Yeah. Oh, that was
guaranteed.
Yeah, that's probably true. This is only the first wave of Plasma series, so who knows what'll be in the. We'll probably get Paul Rudd figure and. Maybe we'll get
the Stranger Things kid.
Yeah, Grandpa Ghostbusters and who knows?
With their wheelchairs and their walkers.
Yeah, but
is that joke too old now?
In any case, though, I think these are a little repetitive and there are some issues with them, but I think they look better than they've been done before in 6 or 7-inch. So I think that's what they got going for them.
Yeah, I thought they looked great. I never owned any of the other ones. So I wouldn't be able to compare them, but looking at them up close, they look pretty spectacular.
Yeah, and the build-a-figure element's cool too. I love seeing, when Hasbro, they've done this forever with Marvel Legends, but it's really cool that they're doing it here. And the only thing is, you kind of need 2 Terror Dogs,
Yeah, I know everyone's upset about that, and that I get it.
And the horns are different on both of the Terror Dogs, so I don't know if they know that or not.
Oh, I didn't even know that. That probably doesn't surprise you much, though. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they should have sold the Pterodogs as its own separate thing and had Gozer be the Build-A-Figure.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe they'll offer it in another way, but who knows? Or an exclusive set.
So yeah, safe bet there'll be another Pterodog in the future with some other thing.
Or you just buy the Diamond Select one, which is a little bit bigger probably, but very nicely done anyway. So this is all cool stuff. So there's also a kids line of Ghostbusters. I didn't see anything about it in their panel, though. Did you?
Oh, no, they didn't have that in the panel, which was, I guess, sort of surprising because they were on display. I got a bunch of pictures of those, so if I didn't post those up, I'll send them to you. They're really neat. If I was a kid, I would go nuts for those because they're in the same style as the re-released vintage real Ghostbusters figures, which is the thing I'm most excited for there. But they're stylistically kind of cartoony, sort of like that. I mean, I think there's press photos of those out there that show them pretty clearly, but they're like the same sort of body type, same simple articulation, but for like a kid, for like $10 a pop or whatever, they're pretty delightful.
That's pretty good. Is that what retail is on those? $10?
I don't know. I would guess it's probably something like that. Maybe it's 15. I don't know if the 6-inch ones they're just $20. I would guess that these ones are. I'd be surprised if they were more than 10.
Now, in terms of
I don't know for sure.
In terms of scale, would you say that these are like 4 inches, 5 inches?
They're about 5 inches.
Okay.
They're 5 inches. They're the same. They're the same height as the real Ghostbusters ones, which I'm pretty certain were 5-inch height.
I think they were 4.5. I think they were 4.5.
Oh, was that it?
Yeah. So
okay, they're the same scale as that.
Okay.
They're the same scale as that.
Very nice.
Yeah.
And they look like a little bit of a throwback. There's not a ton of articulation from what I've seen, but it looks like they do have like each one has an individual like unique ghost, which is an element from the classic line. And these are obviously based off the movie characters rather than the cartoon. And they also don't have the plasma streams with them.
Oh yeah, those they don't either. I'll tell you what though, when I was a kid, I cut my plasma streams off of my real Ghostbusters figures.
No.
Yeah, no, because the plasma streams can't always be on zapping all the time, right? So I snipped mine, and I just imagined lasers shooting out of stuff.
Yeah, no, like for those who don't know, like Ghostbusters, when I was a kid, was like my first like franchise love. Like that was my first like really big fandom as a little kid.
Oh wow!
This was in the later second half of the 80s, and I had a ton of those toys, and sadly, like I've lost pretty much all of them over the years. I know that there's a stash of them in my parents' house. When I was last there a few months back, we looked for them and we could not locate them, but I know there's a stash of them there somewhere. But I had absolutely tons and tons and tons of these figures. The one that I never had was the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, and I have no idea why, because we had tons of the toys. For whatever reason, he eluded my collection as a kid.
Did you have like... So they also released a big stuffy Marshmallow Man around that same time. So while I had the original toy Marshmallow Man, the one that I played with the most was the big plush one because he was, big.
Yeah, no, I didn't have either of those, but
all right.
I remedied that a few years back. I think like in 2016, I went back on eBay and bought one, like in the package.
Oh, fantastic!
And it's still in the box and everything. I think.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah, I think I paid $80 for it. And
that's a hell of a deal.
It's not bad because I've been watching eBay in recent weeks, and like they've been going for like $400.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
I was looking at those a couple of years ago, and when I started sliding into this dark hole of keeping some things on card, just sort of like to remember what the old toy aisle felt like.
Yeah.
And so I've got some Masters of the Universe, obviously these Star Wars ones, but I was like, I'd love to get that first set of Ghostbusters figures again.
Yeah.
But I'm not paying $500 for Peter Venkman in a card.
Well, now you won't have to. Luckily, if Walmart gets their act together and you're able to pre-order these things.
Come on, Walmart. Come on.
So,
jerks.
I wonder how, like, with these re-releases of their retro collection for the real Ghostbusters, if these how it's going to impact like the value of the original ones on eBay. Like if $400 currently for that Marshmallow Man, I wonder if that's going to plummet if you're able to get this one, which obviously isn't an exact vintage figure, but it's a reproduction of the vintage figure. Like do you foresee that having any sort of impact on the values of those older ones?
I don't. If there's an impact on it, I think it's going to be incredibly small. When you re-release these sorts of things, the originals don't really. I haven't seen examples of them making the originals dip in value. The people that want the original are going to spend the money to have the original true thing.
True.
And the people like, those of us that just want to have something that really reminds us of it will get like the cheaper thing. In the early 2000s, they re-released some of the Masters of the Universe figures on like an anniversary card set. And there's a whole set of them. And like the originals did not really dip in prices, and now even those reproductions go for not massive amounts of money, but like
Sure.
He-Man might go for $100 on the reprinted card back.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. What I haven't looked at is if there was any difference in like the vintage Star Wars figures, with the retro collection having come out last year. I haven't heard anything, so I don't assume there's really been any there's been any huge like effect on it, but. What I'm thinking more is if like people that just want to have like the vintage figure, like if this is a good enough substitute. Like I feel for me like the Star Wars retro collection kind of filled that gap for me. Like I don't feel like I absolutely need to go back and get the vintage figures, now that I have those. Because I never really had like vintage Star Wars. I had like Power of the Force 2, like that was like the first exposure I really had to Star Wars toys, which, well, actually that's not true. I did have a couple of vintage figures that I didn't even know I had until later. Like the Tauntaun and like Forlom, aka Zuckuss. So I know I had those. I don't know where they came from, but I still have those. Anyway, yeah. So
well, I think it's the attachment. Like if you've got the attachment to those original things, I think that would drive you. God, it's tough to say because like I've got all the original Star Wars figures. A lot of them are from my collection from when I was a kid. But like, and I've got a bunch of the original carded ones that I've bought in recent years as well. But those are all like in nice sealed up things. I'm getting the retro ones for sort of I can kind of toss these around, or I could put them on a peg or something like that and flip through them. Like it's sort of a different kind of feeling thing. I don't know. Yeah, I would imagine if you really want an authentic Peter Venkman on card from 1986. And you've got the money, you're going to spend the $500. But if you're just casual, spend the $15 on the Walmart thing. Or $30 on eBay.
Yeah, I guess for me, it just kind of feels like, well, now that I can buy this one, which is essentially the same thing, I don't really need to go for the other one anymore. But like you said, it just depends on what kind of collector you are,
Right.
So, but yeah, so the whole thing of it was that Walmart was supposed to put their retro collection on sale yesterday at 4 p.m. Eastern time. And they failed to do that. And as of now,
they just didn't do it.
Yeah, it's Sunday, going into, Monday, and they're still not up.
Yeah, and you sent a link to me about it, which was, is it ghostbustersnews.com or ghostbustersnews.net? And they said, they're quoted as saying something like, Sony and Hasbro are aware of the situation. Like, so just fix it, guys. Like, what? Sony and aware that just come on, Walmart, just put the things up for sale.
I know. It's like they probably just need to click a button, right?
I have no idea. Maybe it's a thing where I couldn't even speculate. I can't even speculate. It doesn't make any sense to me. Everything else was up for pre-order.
Yeah, I mean, I have a couple of friends, a couple other people I talked to, my brother-in-law, who are all chomping at the bit to get these, and we're all like there, like waiting to pounce at 4 p.m. yesterday. Because I have a feeling when these do go live, they're going to go freaking fast. And what I don't like is if you look at the links that are up there, there's no limit on how many you can buy. So, so I'm really nervous about, what if it happens at 3 a.m. when I'm asleep? What if it happens when I'm at work? What if it happens when, it's now that they missed their slot, the time they're supposed to go up, I don't think they're going to re-announce a new slot. They're just going to go up when they go up, basically.
Yeah, so, and then by the point in time we notice it, they'll be sold out.
Yeah, unless
that's what I think. That's
so frustrating.
I mean, like, thankfully you told me that the that the retro collection went up for pre-order because Yakface posted about it. So thank you for sending that information my way. So I was able to get those.
Yeah.
Because also Walmart exclusive, and otherwise, like, I mean, they were sold out within a couple hours. It was gone.
Yeah. No, huge thanks to Yakface for being on top of all that, because otherwise, I saw that like the instant they tweeted it out, like within seconds, and I let I let a couple people that I'm in touch with know, and said, hey guys, we need to get on these, like, so we all got our orders in, and I think they're coming out later in April.
Yep.
Yeah, which is fine. No hurry. I mean, we've been waiting for they've been around forever already, right? So it's like, what's the hurry?
Yeah. I mean, it's again, it's like the first batch. I'm excited to get them, but it doesn't change the fact that they're reprints of an old figure.
Right.
It's not really new. They had the board game exclusive character, which is Luke in a snowspeeder outfit.
Yeah.
But I'm just not interested in that one. It's not like Tarkin, who's a new character.
Yeah.
It's just
now is that on Amazon? Do you know?
I don't know. I think that's also a Walmart exclusive.
Is it? Because I think Entertainment Earth had them. I'm not sure who else might have. Or Dorkside, I think, had it for pre-order.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Maybe that.
Yeah, I think
that'd be cool.
I think because with the last one, I think it was sold at Target, but they also had them at like Walmart, and the Target one, they had them at other places too.
Oh, did they? Oh, okay,
yeah,
cool.
but,
that game's actually kind of fun.
I know that you've been telling me about it quite a bit, but I have never played it. Like, I have. Okay, so I told you, but I had to buy that game 3 times, the last one, because...
Why?
Well, because I needed one just to keep in the box.
Yeah.
I needed a second one so I could take the carded Tarkin out and hang him on the wall. And then I needed a third one so that I could like get the Tarkin out and like open him up and put him on the shelf loose.
Oh, okay. So, I gotcha. Yeah, I've just got the 2 so that I could have the carded Tarkin and then the loose Tarkin.
Yeah, I'm that kind of a collector, I guess. I'm annoying.
That's fair.
I'm annoying. I don't do that with everything. I only do it with like special things. Like, I feel like the retro collection for me was kind of like a special thing. So
retro collection's pretty neat.
Yeah, and I'll do the same thing with the Ghostbusters retro figures because those like I'm saying, like, I didn't have vintage Star Wars really, but I had vintage Ghostbusters as a kid, so I can relive those toys once those come out. If they come out. Yeah,
and if we're able to get them.
Exactly.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. I'm overly pessimistic, but
yeah, I never saw.
Yesterday I was. Oh, yesterday. Yeah, I mean, yesterday I was able to pre-order all the retro collection Star Wars ones. So maybe my pessimism is misplaced.
Yeah, I never saw those in stores at Target, so I'm not too hopeful that. I got my pre-orders in, thankfully, but I don't think Walmart's gonna. I don't know if I'm gonna ever see them at Walmart. No. And if I do, they're probably gonna be all screwed up. And
yeah,
the Ghostbusters, I don't know if I'll ever see those at Walmart either. So
no,
yeah.
No, you won't. Yeah, that's You'll go to Walmart and you'll see vintage collection X-wing pilot Luke and Yavin Luke, and
right.
That's what you'll see in the toy aisle.
So in any case, do you want to talk a little bit about the reveals that Hasbro had for Star Wars? All right.
They were very excited about The Empire Strikes Back.
Yes, definitely.
So all of those reveals, which kind of leaked a couple months ago, because I think like they're on the shelves in some places.
Yeah.
It's the Empire Strikes Back re-releases, which we figured they're on Empire Strikes Back vintage style cards now, sort of like the 40th anniversary ones were a couple of years ago.
Yeah. So essentially, we're getting the 40th anniversary Black Series 6-inch for the Empire Strikes Back, and same thing they did, like you said, for A New Hope, and those were very they sold very well. They didn't. They generally didn't hang for a long time on the pegs. Some of them did, like Obi-Wan, Princess Leia. That first wave in some areas.
Death Star Commander, that guy.
That guy, yeah. So they're bringing these back. I don't know that the excitement behind them is quite the same because it looks like they haven't sold out anywhere. Maybe they just have a higher number of pre-orders or who knows what. But so they're bringing these back, and it's cool. I mean, seeing 6-inch figures on retro cards is cool to see, but I know that I was talking about this yesterday, like on Twitter. Like, I don't know that I absolutely need to get them because I bought all the last ones, and they're huge, and that's the problem. Like, I have the clamshells, that you can buy for these things. And,
Right.
they look great. And, they display really awesomely on the wall. And they're nice and sizable. But the thing is, they take up so much space that eventually I just pull them all down and put up, 3¾ inch instead.
Well, yeah, especially if you're going to get the retro collection ones, which is, kind of a set of the same characters, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, there's only 6 of them, but it's like, all right, you got 6 key characters from The Empire Strikes Back on that old Kenner card art, and they're smaller, they display easier.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I kind of feel like I might even like sell my, original set, because they're just like collecting dust, like in my other bedroom, like just in a stack, like in the clamshells. So it's kind of like, I mean, do I really want to buy another set to keep carded when I'm not going to display them? And
yeah, I can see why some people would, but I'm definitely not in that camp.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if you're just a 6-inch collector and you want to have that classic Star Wars aesthetic, you can do that. But like, obviously, we collect the vintage collection as well, 3¾ and like, I kind of feel like maybe I'll just keep like my special ones, like my San Diego Comic-Con Boba Fett, my Episode 1 Maul and Obi-Wan.
Yeah, that's what I would do. Yeah, I've got one of the Episode 1 Maul, and I've got one of the anniversary Vaders. I've got those guys in those packages, and hopefully someday I'll get a Dooku in one, right, or maybe a Darth Sidious.
Yeah, that'd be cool. But yeah. So in any case, it's cool that they're bringing these back. I don't know that I'm going to buy them. I'm definitely going to get the ones that I need, like to open up. They are repacking some figures in here that we've had before, like Hoth Leia, Bespin Han, AT-AT Driver, TIE Pilot. I probably don't need to buy those to open because I already have those, and the ones I have already have photoreal. So, but definitely I would get to open, like, the Bespin Luke that has a brand new head, a new sculpt.
That's cool.
Yeah, the new Hoth Luke, that's a brand new figure. We're getting, what's the other one? R2's got a pretty significant repaint, so I kind of feel like probably R2. And
I'll be honest, I'm bummed about R2 because I still don't have an R2. And so seeing him released in a really grubby, dirty, beat-up version, I'm like, I don't really want that.
Well, the figure arts is so much better than the Black Series R2.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah,
fair.
So, I mean, if you needed an R2, that'd be the way to go. But, yeah, and then I think just the Lando, right? He's got the photoreal on him this time.
Yeah, he's got the photoreal face. So I will probably pick him up, and I'll probably pick up Bespin Luke. Those would be mine.
Nice.
The snow speeder is, of course, the big key item that they revealed. That had been rumored. I think Yakface had picked up on that a while back too. But that's a pretty cool looking vehicle. That'll be $119. And you can pre-order that now, which I'm guessing you've already done.
Oh, yes, I have. I don't know where I'm going to put it. I mean, I have a hard time with these 6-inch scale things, even like the smaller ones, like Ray's Speeder or the Land Speeder. Just like,
yeah, I know.
I mean, they're big and they take up a lot of room. And,
yeah.
But I mean,
yeah.
I have the TIE Fighter, but I put it back in its box and it's just like in my closet now. So.
Mine's in my storage space, which bums me out so much. I love the TIE. The TIE Fighter has always been my favorite Star Wars vehicle, with apologies to the Millennium Falcon. TIE Fighter has always been my number one. So when that went on a decent enough sale, I picked up one of those, and it was on display in our office for a while before we moved into a smaller space. So that's always a bummer that's back in storage now. I love it.
Yeah, nice.
So big, so weird.
Yeah, so it's an interesting, release. I guess it is a little smaller than a hypothetical X-Wing would be, though. So maybe that's part of the reason they went with and it's also Empire, right? So
Empire, yeah, Empire Strikes Back, 40th anniversary.
Empire
Very
Strikes Back, and that comes with Dak Ralter, so that's an exclusive figure to that vehicle.
Yeah.
And if you look at the box, you can't see the figure. He's just like in there. So.
Oh, is that what? Yeah.
Yeah.
But
so
yeah, he is in there.
You gotta pray.
Yeah, super cool.
You gotta pray. You get good paint apps on that figure.
Oh gosh. Well, I mean, with the face printing stuff,
it's better.
They're yeah. Well, and even if he's got a messed up Poe Dameron face, you put the helmet on him and put him in the back of the snow speeder and ignore him.
Yeah. Well, if you can ignore him, I couldn't do that, but I'm glad you can. But yeah, so there's also the probe droid. Are you going to be getting the probe droid? It's $29.99.
Oh, yeah, the probe droid. Heck yes, I'm getting the probe droid. Heck yes.
Yeah.
I love the probe droid. Yeah, I forgot because that's, I mean, some people have already been able to buy that.
Yeah, there's videos on YouTube on it already.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's I love the probe droid, so I'm definitely getting the probe droid.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it looks really cool. And, yeah, like you said, it's a probe droid, so we got a probe droid coming. We've also got, let's see, for 6 inches, pretty much all they showed for Black Series, isn't it? I think.
That was it. Yep, that was it. They showed the little half-inch tall baby Yoda.
Yes, and you tweeted a picture of that, and he's like an inch tall. Yeah.
Is he even an inch?
I don't know. You tell me.
Yeah, I don't know. He's. I think he's about the size of the third segment of my finger.
Jeez.
I think he's a little bit under an inch. Maybe he's an inch though. He's very, very small.
Wow. So I mean, yeah, and he's $10.
Accurate scale.
He's $10.
Yeah, but we're all gonna buy him.
We're all gonna buy him. I already have a couple on pre-order, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah. So imagine if a 3 3/4 inch scale one was made, like how small he would be.
I don't even know how you do it.
You'd have to get a microscope to see him.
Yeah, well, I mean, they released a Porg with a Chewbacca. In the Last Jedi wave, there was a Chewbacca figure that came out, and the basically no articulation.
You're right.
And there's a tiny little Porg that came with one. So yeah, you can do it, but he'd have to be an accessory to something.
He'd be like Polly Pocket or Mighty Max, like tiny.
Yeah, yeah, and I wouldn't have any articulation on it. It'd just break off.
Polly Pocket so small you can take her anywhere. Yes.
Where's our retro collection of Polly Pocket?
I know, or Mighty Max, right? Those things are expensive. Have you ever looked on eBay like what Mighty Max goes for, like brand new?
No, how much?
For like $100 for just like a little hand size like thing.
That's I mean, yeah, that's the way of the world these days, isn't it? All the stuff that we grew up with, we want to buy again now.
Yeah, I had a couple of those.
And kids these days don't get their own toy lines. They get their parents' toy lines.
Yeah. No, it's weird, huh?
Yeah. Oh boy, look, it's Star Wars and the Ghostbusters and He-Man, Transformers.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah.
G.I. Joe's coming back.
Yeah, it's because I don't know. I think it's like if you want to get into like the science behind it and like analyze like truly analyze it, I think there's a lot of. I think it's really interesting, and I think it's something that warrants like a proper study, like why things are kind of not regressing, but like going back to things that we knew from a long time ago. But
yeah,
it's just interesting. It's interesting to see.
It's very interesting.
I'm not really complaining. I'll say that.
Oh yeah, no, it works out perfect for me.
Yeah, it does. Okay, so for 3 3/4 inch, aka the vintage collection, we got a ton of figures revealed, didn't we?
Oh yeah, there's Luke Skywalker again, and the Gonk droid.
Gonk.
I mean, yeah, people are very excited about. They've wanted the Gonk droid for a long time, so it's awesome that he's coming out. And the Luke Skywalker, if you saw the panel, they admitted that every other time they've released this figure on this card back, something's been wrong. It's been the wrong card art. He had the wrong robe. He has the wrong hand. His hair's parted the wrong way. Yep. And this time it looks like it's correct. So thumbs up for them. While it's not one I need.
Yes, you do.
I've got enough of that figure.
No. Did you get the 3-pack from Comic-Con last year?
No.
Then you need the figure.
Well, is it that good?
It is that good. I have him on my skiff.
Okay. All right. I'll take your word for it, and I'll pick one up.
Okay, good. That makes me happy.
Excellent. You've sold me.
Yay.
But yeah, that was. Oh, here's the thing about the Gonk droid was that they specifically stated they are trying to knock off the last set of characters from the original 96. So while we don't know how long that's going to take, they are aware of it and they're actively, trying to do it. I don't know how many are left. I know that Sim Alu is one.
Yes. Yeah, the other Bespin guard.
Right, there's another Bespin guard. Yeah. I have no idea who else those characters are, but they're aware of it, and they had a big title up there that said Original 96 or Final 96 or something like that. So if you're hoping that they're going to get those all knocked off at some point in time, I think you should be happy. Even if you should also be very patient.
Yeah, totally. So these are pretty cool releases, especially the Gonk Droid, I think, or the Power Droid, or however they're referring to him.
Right.
The Power Droid, if you know the vintage Star Wars line, was one of, if not maybe the only, there might have been a couple, but vintage figures that had like a pink name pill in background.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So I know they haven't showed packaging for this figure, but I wonder if they're going to follow suit and also, release it with like that bright pink like background.
They suggested that in the panel. They said that was the bright pink was a hint towards that. I didn't put the pieces together until you just pointed it out. But yeah, they specifically called that out. That's their intent.
Good.
Can I tell you my original Power Droid poor network connection? Can I tell you my original Power Droid story?
Sure.
So my father worked at a Zayre's department store in Connecticut, Hartford, Connecticut, I think. And he took me to work with him one day, and he said I could buy a Star Wars figure. And there was a big bin of the Empire Strikes Back figures. And I was fishing through them, and I found the Gonk Droid. And I was like, I think I want the Gonk Droid here. I think I want this guy. But, I put him back in just in case and kept fishing around to, see if there was maybe a better character. And I couldn't find one. So I tried to find the Gonk Droid again. I just couldn't find it. So I ended up going home with IG-88 instead, which was disappointing at the time, but in hindsight is obviously the better character to get. I didn't get an original Gonk Droid until about 12 years ago, and when I pulled him out of the package that I'd received from on eBay and saw that it's this little empty plastic box with wiggly legs, I just burst out laughing. It's just the silliest thing.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's a good memory, though.
That was that. It was funny, yeah. That's one of my vivid toy memories from being a kid.
That's awesome. I mean, that's one of the things about toys is that, they really take us back. When you look at that toy that you've had for 30 some years, really, you remember oftentimes the time and place, that you got it. You remember where you were in life, how old you were, who was with you. Like, it's weird. It's really weird.
Yeah.
Even
the souvenirs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's. I think that's one of the great things. I think that's one of the reasons that we continually gravitate towards, toys and going back and buying more toys and toys.
Yeah, that and our Arrested Development.
Totally. So that's all they showed for Vintage Collection, which is pretty disappointing, obviously.
Yep.
And I think on some level, and I think we might have touched on it before, is that maybe they weren't sure exactly what was going to happen with the license, so maybe they just kind of.
That's a good point.
Yeah, and I think we kind of see that with 6-inch as well, because, most of the 40th line is just like, repaints or repacks.
It's nothing really new.
Yeah, and we know that for Vintage Collection, we're getting a bunch of repacks and repaints later this year, so I kind of feel like, to some extent, maybe that's what was going on. They just weren't sure, so they didn't want to spend a lot of money, like, developing stuff, but...
Yeah, that's a really good point. That could very much be it. While I was incredibly disappointed, it didn't change the fact that they still had a bunch of stuff to show. It's just when I'm seeing new stuff, or when I'm seeing their reveals, and it's just sort of like, it's a reissue of this, it's a reissue of this. I'm excited about them. My retro collection carded ones.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get a Bespin Luke now for the Black Series. That's good for me.
Right.
Maybe I'll even buy that Vintage Collection Slave 1, which, that's getting re-released now everywhere. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
But it's still like, well, none of this is new.
Right. None of it's new.
Yeah.
So speaking of the Slave 1, that is another item that they announced that had been leaked like in the last week or so, but I didn't get the previous one. The previous one was exclusive at Amazon several years back, and I never got around to picking that up. And I know for a time it went really, really cheap, like for $20.
What? Are you kidding?
No, I'm not. And I don't know. I missed it. So
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, I'd have picked it up for that.
Yeah, I know there was a big problem too with Amazon shipping them without boxes, so they were just going out like in the vintage collection box and putting labels on them. So hopefully that doesn't happen this time if you're getting it on Amazon, which I don't know if it's available on Amazon or not, but
it is.
Okay.
I think.
All right.
Maybe I'm mistaken. Well, I know it was showing up on all the pre-order things yesterday. And
yeah.
I might be wrong there.
I pre-ordered.
Get it from Hasbro Pulse.
That's where I pre-ordered mine from. So.
Yeah, they'll package it.
And it's kind of a good thing I waited, I guess, because even if I could have gotten the last one cheaper, it's like, this one has the stand, so you can like vertically display it, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, and way better paint application.
Yeah, the back of it looks awesome. So.
Yeah, it looks gorgeous. It's it's $50 more than it was the original time, but that's how the costs on all these things have been obviously going up in the past few years. So
yeah,
that's not a big surprise.
It's not a big surprise. Nope.
It's worth it. It's worth it.
Yeah. It's the Slave One. It's Boba Fett. It's Han and Carbonite. Yeah. It's like, can't go wrong. Empire.
Empire. We love Empire. 40th anniversary.
Yeah. So, okay. So there's a Darksaber coming. This is
for the kids.
For the kids, which, I might get it anyway. Let's see, what else is there? There is.
My Kylo Ren lightsaber that I use for my really authentic outfit that I put together, or that my lovely wife put together for me.
Yeah,
is one of the kids. It's a kid's Kylo Ren lightsaber. So
yeah, your costume.
Get the kids' Darksaber.
Yeah, your awesome Kylo Ren costume.
It's super cool.
It is cool. Let's see. So there was that, and
they've got all those Galaxies of Adventure things.
We don't really care about those, so we don't really need to spend time talking about them.
Yeah.
Or what's the other one? Like the mission line or whatever?
Oh, sure. Yeah, it's another. Yeah, we love Star Wars vehicles. Here's Star Wars. It's sure.
Did you notice these are smaller, right? They're like 2.5 inch or something. Yeah. Did you notice that some of the vehicles are like scaled down versions of like the mini rigs from several years back?
Oh, is that what it is?
So not all of them, but some of them, like the one that has Ahsoka. It's like a scaled down like vehicle that was previously released like 10 years ago.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, some of them are like that. They're just like, it's strange. It's really strange, but I guess it saves them having to design a whole new like vehicle because they're just scaling down what they already had. But
I guess, but that's still. The tooling to put all that stuff together,
Sure.
That's still expensive. And I'm going to be honest here. Like my frustration with coming away from this thing yesterday, having known for a year and a half that the Clone Wars is coming back, and them not doing something for that was frustrating.
Yeah.
Like I don't understand, guys. Like. This wasn't a surprise.
Right. And Tom, not only that, but the fact that this very weekend, the Clone Wars came back on Friday. And they had nothing to show for Clone Wars, like, at all? Not
in either the Black Series or the Vintage Collection series.
Yeah, the scales that matter.
Right, the scales that people have been collecting for all these years. The brand new scale that they cooked up earlier this year, they have an Ahsoka for that. It looks cute. I'm not going to buy it. I'm not getting into another scale. Especially one that I would be surprised if next Toy Fair, the Galaxies of Adventure stuff was still continuing. And everyone loves The Mandalorian. The Mandalorian wears that outfit in one episode. Then he's wearing a full silver outfit. Show us a digital rendering of that. Dismayed. I was dismayed.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pretend I wasn't.
I really don't even know what to say to that, honestly. It's just kind of like, I can kind of look past some of the other things that we've kind of complained about, but, to not show a single, like, Clone Wars item in either of these two scales.
Yeah.
That's really perplexing.
Yeah, it's yeah.
Anyway, we won't dwell on that. So I think we pretty well covered what they had for Star Wars and things that we're excited about. So we didn't really talk about Power Rangers, but I know you don't really do Rangers. Is that correct?
Yeah, I don't know anything really about the Power Rangers. A Red Ranger came with the swag bag, which thankfully Lena and my wife, and I have a friend that is really into Power Rangers, so she's going to enjoy that.
Nice.
She's a friend that has a shelf full of Landos, so I made certain to order a second retro collection Lando for her.
Nice.
So yeah, so that's going to a good home. Yeah, I don't know anything about Power Rangers. During the presentation for the stuff there with the Beast morphing Rangers, I felt my age. I was like, what am I? What are these things? What? Who? Huh?
Yeah.
But
Yeah, well, it's something I haven't really paid attention to in a long time. I have been collecting like the Lightning collection, like the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, but anything after those first like 2 or 3 seasons of Power Rangers, like I don't know anything about. Like,
right.
I was just like at that age where I kind of outgrew it pretty quickly. But
Yeah.
I haven't been buying like anything based off those like first few seasons. So really,
I knew who Rita Repulsa was. I knew who she was. I did not until the Toy Fair stuff did I have any idea what Lord Zed was. I think I'd recognize the name, but I'd never seen what he looked like. He's cool looking. He's a cool looking bad guy.
He's scary.
Good, yeah. Good job.
Yeah, he was in the Ghostbusters, the Power Rangers movie as well. They did back in like in '95, and
I saw one of those.
Yeah, he was scary there too.
Huh.
Anyway, so you had a really good interview with Hasbro. We came up with a list of questions to present them with, and how did that go? Like just overall, your chat with them. What did it feel like?
Oh well, I don't think I've ever interviewed someone before, so I was in the kind of nervous fumbling around with my phone to read the questions thing. So forgive the what about this sort of thing, because it's not the sort of thing I've done before. But I thought he was actually really helpful. It was Sam.
Yeah. Sam's cool.
He's a very, very nice guy.
Yes.
And I honestly thought when I saw the questions that I was going to get a lot more stonewalled. And while he didn't come out and give specific answers, it was at least helpful information about their thought processes.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the answers to things made me feel pretty positive about stuff. Like I was incredibly disappointed that there was not another Jabba the Hutt style playset displayed this year, because last year there was, and I screamed. And this year there was nothing. But he definitely indicated that's the sort of thing that we're probably going to see more of, because it did really well.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to go ahead and play through the Q&A that you had with Hasbro, and we'll address each of their responses to our questions.
Hi there, Sam. I'm Tom from Victoria's Cantina, and got some questions for you.
Absolutely.
With the excitement around the new Imperial Troop transport, fans are clamoring for more toys from the Mandalorian, including a Razor Crest for the vintage collection. Do you think a Razor Crest is a good fit for that line?
I absolutely feel it would be any vehicle we can get into the vintage collection line definitely is justified. I will say that vehicle itself is enormous. Doing an accurate depiction similar to what we did for the barge, it's actually larger than the sail barge itself.
Are you kidding?
No, it is over 4 feet long. But definitely it is a phenomenal vehicle, and definitely something we would love to be able to look at. So if there is demand for that vehicle in the line, we certainly feel that there could be, but nothing to share in terms of specifics on that.
All right, fair enough.
All right, so this is an interesting response. So
4 feet long.
4 feet long. I did not know that. I mean, I knew from watching The Mandalorian, obviously, that it's the Razor Crest is a sizable vehicle, but I kind of thought it was more like in scale with like the Republic gunship.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to know that, if they properly scaled it to vintage collection size, it would be bigger than the sail barge.
Gosh, I guess my argument would be then don't properly scale it.
Right.
Like, do something about the size of the slave one and sell it for $150.
Yeah. I mean,
we can wait and see if Mandalorian lasts for 10 years and continues the massive support that it currently has, and then you could do a HasLab for $1,000 then. But I don't know, I'd scale it down.
Yeah, I mean, they basically scale down essentially everything. I don't even think the barge is 1-to-1 scale, with.
No, it's, yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, scale it down. I mean, make it like closer in size to the Republic gunship, and
Yeah.
yeah, I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's still a big vehicle. It's still worth the price tag, and then people can have one.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
All right.
Agreed.
Speaking of the sail barge, it's been 2 years since the Hasbro Star Wars project. Is there anything currently on the table that may be announced in the near future?
So at the fan media presentation today, there was a tease from the Marvel team in terms of an upcoming HasLab project. And the big thing that we're seeing right now is, HasLab is still very much in its infancy. We had a great success with the sail barge in terms of a Star Wars item, but definitely the opportunity for other brands to take advantage of that. We had the Unicron, which was successfully funded, and of course there's a tease of an upcoming Marvel project that we can't necessarily speak to, but in every way, shape, or form, I think we certainly feel there's more opportunity for HasLab within Star Wars.
Love it.
So that means there's no Star Wars in the near future.
Yeah, it sounds like they're gonna.
I don't think.
It sounds like it's going to Marvel for the next HasLab, which is fine. They haven't done anything with Marvel yet, so.
Here's a question for you. You watched the presentation, right?
Yes.
So they showed like a character Jubilee, and she's getting scanned by something. I'm guessing that doesn't mean that the HasLab project is making Jubilee.
No, because.
So what is it? Is it a Sentinel?
You know what? That's actually a really good point, because I have Jubilee, the Marvel Legends figure. She's already out.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, I feel like they did a Sentinel though, didn't they? Like.
Right. Yeah. Like I think they sold Sentinels. They're like twice the size or something.
Yeah,
like that.
they're not. They're obviously not, appropriately scaled to those 6-inch figures, but they're what you can reasonably do within a 6-inch line. So.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess, yeah, if they wanted to do like a proper one and they wanted to make a really, really, really big one, which I wouldn't buy it for one, because, just.
Right.
I'm not a huge. I mean, I enjoy Marvel and I buy several of the figures. I don't buy all the figures. So I'm not hardcore into Marvel Legends, but.
No.
Maybe, I'm sure there's people out there that would, though. So. Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I my only guess was like, oh, is this going to be a Sentinel? But like you, I was like, haven't they already made Sentinels? Like, I wouldn't have spent $500 on a sail barge if there had been a 2-foot-long sail barge that I'd had for a number of years.
Yeah, that's a good point. It has to be something that's probably fresh. It hasn't been done before. There's a lot of, they know that from their, the studies and whatever the research they do, that there's a lot of demand for it. So,
yeah.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. But I assume that eventually, in a few years or whatever, they'll get back to Star Wars and do something.
There's the new retro collection figures that you just shown, which is very, very exciting, especially for old farts like me. Love the fact that you guys varied up the little crinkles along the side. That's delightful. The specific question here is, any thoughts about doing like a re-release of any of the old vehicles, or the famous Death Star space station set, or like the Creature Cantina set?
Again, it's great stuff. We, originally as it was conceptualized, was definitely about being able to, kind of continue the line, be able to bring newness, and we started to tease that in with characters like Tarkin and our newly announced.
Loved my Tarkin.
But the more and more demand that we're seeing for this, I think there's absolutely opportunities for it. It really just comes down to being able to allocate the SKUs and the tooling towards it. But again, if people want to go beyond the figures themselves and really start to recollect into those vehicles, I think we'd definitely something we'd be open to.
So this was an interesting response. Retro collection has, like we said earlier, has been a really huge success. Last year, I never found the figures at Target. They were being scalped for a lot of money until, they started filling into those, fan channels like Entertainment Earth, where I got mine. And, now they're back for this year with Empire Strikes Back. So it's interesting that it sounds to me on based on Sam's response that they've at least, had discussions on, the possibility of expanding it into other means, whether that's vehicles or play sets or bringing back other elements of the Kenner line. So I think that's a pretty interesting thing to know.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting too.
Yeah, I mean, I personally, I don't know that I would really need too much from that, because like a lot of the vehicles that they've made over for the span of the modern line, from Power of the Force 2 to now, have utilized those vintage toolings. So, like the Falcon, the TIE Fighter, the X-Wing, we've gotten a lot of that stuff over the years. So I don't really know that I would need to see that again, other than like for the box, I guess.
Right. And I don't think a box is quite as interesting as when, you've got a card art with a bubble and you can see the figure.
Exactly.
I know some people do it, and that is awesome. Like, I've started saving some boxes so that one day I can set them all up and pretend I'm in my own toy store. I'm more interested in the figures.
Yeah.
And from there, I'm honestly more interested in like something that feels really new, like when they did Tarkin. Empire Strikes Back doesn't have a big roster of untouched things that
Right.
Kid Tom would have really wanted. Like Snowspeeder Luke was X-Wing pilot Luke. The difference is
Right.
so minimal there that I wouldn't need another Hoth soldier. Oh gosh, you know what? We didn't talk about the Black Series Hoth soldier.
Okay, let's touch on it real quick. So, how many different configurations are there of this figure?
Boy, I think there's 8. Because he's got like goggles you can put on. You can take the goggles off. He's got a scarf, no scarf, and then there's 2 different faces. It's pretty neat. So you can really vary up what your Hoth soldier looks like.
That's pretty cool.
If you, everyone loves Hoth. Go army build him.
Yeah, I pre-ordered 2 of them to open. So
pre-order 6 more.
Well, I'm never going to display them the way I would 3/4. So I think I'll be good with 2. But it's if you're doing that, then that's a good thing to be able to do. But yeah, so all right, let's go and listen to the next question here.
One more thing about the retro collection. It's a Walmart exclusive this time. Walmart has the tendency, when I go in to pick up the vintage collection, they don't have them here in New York City, unfortunately, but when I get out there to one, looking at the vintage collection figures, they're all kind of bashed to bits. Is there any chance that the retro collection, the last set, was available through some fan channel stuff as well? Any chance of that for this set?
It's certainly possible. I don't actually know anything in terms of the quantities that were ordered against that. A big reason we saw those arrive at Entertainment Earth beyond Target was there was such demand, but the Target order was always originally intended to be available in stores, and then it was complete. So with all that demand, there was absolutely the push to see it reach Entertainment Earth to really help get that out, more globally to everyone that really wanted to be able to collect it. In terms of Walmart, they end up being a really good retail partner for us, and honestly a lot of the exclusives that we do are only available because we're able to partner with them for an exclusive retailer. Out of the success of the Target program, Walmart was able to approach us and be like, we want to do the next one. That is ultimately allows us to get those additional figures out and kind of anniversary those program. And again, if there's continual demand, we'd love to keep it going.
Awesome. Thank you.
The Walmart thing is really interesting because I living in New York City, we don't have a Walmart, so I find anything that becomes a Walmart exclusive to be a real pain in the rear end. But what Sam said, and from another interview that I heard from Pixel Dan with the NECA team, Walmart, if Walmart comes to you and says, we want to partner up with you to do this thing, that's the only way that it's going to probably happen. And so while I am always really crushed when I find out something I really want is one of these retail store exclusives, for whatever reason, that ain't going to be happening through Amazon at this point in time, and certainly not through the fan channel things. So that's why we're going to get this second set of retro collection figures. Otherwise, it might not have happened.
Right.
I as bummed as I am, any time I see something that's just Walmart, at least now we have the chance to get it, and I'd rather that.
No, it's bittersweet because like you say, we're gonna get the figures, which is great, but it's Walmart, so
yeah.
Look at what's going on with the real Ghostbusters right now, but
right.
The thing is that they were pretty much on point with getting the pre-orders up. I gotta give that to them. We got our orders.
Oh yeah.
And the thing I'm worried about it now that I have the orders in and you have the orders in, is, what kind of condition are they going to arrive in? Because that was one of the great things with Entertainment Earth for me with the last retro collection, is that I was able to just order a case, and then they came like, case fresh, like, the cards are perfect. What's Walmart going to do? Are they going to just stuff them in a box and send them over, and then I'm going to have a problem, and then I won't be able to get them because like replacements because they're sold out? Like, I just don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm since these are all sort of reproductions, I'll be accepting if the cards are a little beat up on these ones, I guess. It's not ideal, but almost every vintage collection thing I've received from Amazon, which is generally how I prefer to buy anything, because, as I said, I live in New York City, so there's not as many retailers around, oddly enough. It always comes like folded in half, so
Amazon.
Damned if you do, damned if you don't, right?
Yeah, I guess we'll see. Hopefully they have it, maybe, I think it comes down to training. Hopefully they have something, some sort of a memo or something like, hey, if you're packing these are collectibles, I know I'm being a little too optimistic here, but
I know, and it's like these people get paid like nothing,
right?
They get paid so little, like they're not as concerned about it.
Yeah, they're worried about quickly and efficiently
paying their rent.
Well, that, but also getting something packed and then moving on to the next package. Just
the specifics of like, oh, this. It's a toy in a package. That's the thought there. If the toy gets there, the package is just a thing to keep the toy safe.
Right. Is there a bubble in the box? Is there tape on the box? Okay, it's good.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
But thinking about Sam's response, it sounds like for the last time around they did offer them through Entertainment Earth because there was a high demand for the figures. But based on what he said, it kind of sounds like that's not a sure thing at this point. Like right now, it seems like maybe it's just Walmart. So I would say
that's the impression I got.
Yeah. So I would say if you're somebody that's kind of been holding off in the hopes that maybe Entertainment Earth or somebody else is going to get them, maybe it might be wise to go ahead and, do what you can to get those pre-orders in, if they go back up, because, it's not a sure thing at this point.
Yeah, that's my take as well. I think the Walmart exclusives are going to stay Walmart exclusives with these. And as you said, hopefully it's just that they saw that they sold out real quick, so Walmart's like, give us another batch.
The last Cantina critter was Mosep Benid in 2015. The new delightful little gonk droid. That's super fun. Any chance of some more of those fun little characters in the near future?
I think there's definitely an opportunity there. Something that we kind of addressed when we were on the panel today was really identifying that original 96 in terms of figures that, honestly, we would love to be able to go back and ensure that all those card backs exist within the vintage collection. Purple bathrobe guy. Are you talking about Simaloo? Sweet Simaloo? But there's still a very broad number of tertiary and more background characters that are offered within the vintage collection. Again, because there is so much entertainment spanning over 40 years, there's absolutely stuff we want to make sure we can go back and get in, but we also want to make sure that we're able to support a lot of the new entertainment coming up. So again, there's going to be quite a few more events happening in between now, even between San Diego and definitely spread throughout the year, that we'll be seeing a lot of new stuff.
Yeah, so he's talking about Cantina aliens this time around. So the question was, where are they? 2015, that's 5 years ago. That's the last time we got one. And that's kind of hard to believe for me. It's like, that's probably the longest span that we've had without a Cantina alien since the gap between Vintage and Power of the Force 2.
Yeah, that's also when Disney took over.
Exactly. So,
yeah,
obviously we still need, certain characters. There are certain aliens that haven't ever been done. And there are aliens that really need a redo. I'd love to have a new Hammerhead. I love the last one, but Hammerhead needs to be redone. So there's quite a bit of stuff. So I hope, based on what he said, there's still other conventions coming. I hope that means that maybe we will see something, but who knows?
If I recall how that worked with like last year or whatever, like the later conventions, they would sort of show like 2 Black Series figures and 2 Vintage Collection characters. And I think even last time it tended to be one new Vintage Collection character and one repurpose or one redo. So hopefully the couple new ones will be like original trilogy, some crittery sort of thing.
We love the Jabba's Palette playset. How did that do for you guys? Did it do well, do you think?
I think it definitely performed. It definitely exceeded our expectations in terms of its performance. We saw a lot of repeat order for that, and there was a lot of demand.
Yeah.
And that was something that we put out there. We're able to kind of test the waters with that because of the success of the barge, and ultimately being able to bring a lot of other items that were able to happen because of the barge's success. And that was really us sort of seeding, our playset's a viable business for the Vintage Collection, and I would say that's a resounding yes. So nothing I can speak to in terms of what that holds, but definitely stay tuned.
All right, let me just toss a couple your way. Sure. The Cantina and Jabba's throne spot. Just say yes, we're going to make them.
Noted.
Oh, right. That was a good, solid, pretty much an answer there.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, it's like, our playset's a viable option for the Vintage Collection? It's a resounding yes, so stay tuned. Awesome.
Yeah, so it's good to hear that there were repeat orders on that Jabba's Palace Adventure playset. I know that we're huge fans of it. I know that a lot of people really liked it, and it did have a lot of success.
Love it.
I know that.
Love it.
Yeah, I know that now they're starting to kind of pile up in a lot of Walmarts, but
yeah, well, that's because they had to keep buying them and buying them again because they sell out.
Yeah, no, that's true.
So
yeah, that's awesome. I can't wait to see what's going to happen going forward with their play sets, and whether or not we're going to get something for the Cantina, because I mean it's the Cantina. We need more things for the Cantina. And the last proper play set that got, I wouldn't even call it a proper play set, was the 3D pop-up one from the 90s. So
you still have that set up?
Sort of. I have it spliced into like a shelf that's kind of mixed in with the plastic bars that they did about 15 years ago. Yeah. So yeah, but
those are really cool.
They are cool, but they have bar stools, and that's not screen accurate. So.
Oh really? Do they not have bar stools?
No. They were standing around the bar.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you'd be surprised at the number of things that I don't notice in these movies that I've seen a zillion times. Like when you say like they haven't made all the aliens in the Cantina yet, I'm like, what the devil are you talking about? What have they not made? But I'm certain if you freeze frame through it and you pointed to one thing there, they're like, have they ever made that, Tom? I'm like, no, I guess they haven't. There's the cool two-headed giraffe guy that's in Jabba's Palace that they still haven't made.
That's true.
Kane Addis, yeah.
That's
so cool looking.
Yeah, that is cool. But I mean, I'd love to see them. We do have the throne. Like if you go back to 2010, they did do the throne, and it looks perfect. Like when you insert it into the new playset. But the thing is, you can't get that without spending a couple $100. So that needs to come back. Their photo reel,
and it needs to have the stairs and the archway around it.
Yeah, they've released that a few times through various means, but. If they wanted to do it properly, yes, they would have that, and maybe it would have like photoreal Jabba, like from the barge or something.
The barge one is the best.
Yeah, it is.
Or just re-release the one from Kenner in 1983.
No, I'm good. I'm good. Let's move forward, not backward. So no, but I would, I'd love them to do a Cantina is what I'll say. That's like the one thing I'd love to see them implement with this new like playset play pattern. Is
be amazing.
Yeah, it would be if they did it properly. It would be. Even if I had to buy a couple different play sets to finish it, I'd be okay with that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, just, do that for all these things. Just make them 2 or 3 parts, and they come out once a year or something like that.
Yeah.
I've waited this long, and I now have Jabba's Sail Barge and a Jabba's Palace playset.
And you know what? I'm happy. The way that they included the 2 carded figures, Reese and Han and Carbonite, like with the Jabba's playset, imagine if they did that with the Cantina, and they gave us We're the Bartender. And then they gave us I don't know who's missing on a modern vintage card back from the Kenner line. Maybe Hammerhead. Yeah. Hammerhead or I don't know. There's quite a few. There's quite a few Cantina aliens that we have at this point. Yeah, but if they want to cover,
but he's one from the original line that hasn't had a vintage collection style card back, right?
Yeah. No, you're right.
Him and Snaggletooth.
Yeah, that's true. We need a Snaggletooth updated on a. Well, we have a good Snaggletooth, but we don't have one on a vintage card back. So.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So next question.
But do something like that would be amazing.
It would be.
What about a Force FX Darksaber?
Force FX Darksaber. Yeah, we saw that and thought that would be cool. I can't speak to anything that's upcoming, but we have a pretty bolstered lineup planned for the Elite Saber line.
Oh, fantastic.
You were there. What expression did he have on his face when he said we can't speak to anything?
I think a little surprised.
Uh-huh.
I didn't get the "it's secretly coming" twinkle thing, but if it plays a prominent role in the Mandalorian, you can be convinced that they'll make it at some point. Lightsabers sell like gangbusters.
Yep.
I mean, they just made Darth Revan's lightsaber, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's we're probably not seeing it this year or next year, but it's a shoo-in. They've got to make it.
Yeah. No, I think, yeah. Like you said, especially if it's featured quite prominently in Season 2 Mandalorian,
Right.
it makes sense. I mean, it makes sense.
Assuming Gus Fring survives and doesn't just get killed off in the first episode, then he drops the lightsaber into a pit, and it's just like, heck with that. Onward.
Yeah, like maybe he gets lured into a trap by like a, kind of like in the previous season. This time it's like, Baby Yoda is like little praying, but then it has like a bomb like on the bottom of it. He tries to open it and it blows up.
But he straightens out his tie and falls over.
He straightens up his little rank badge.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Desperately want Kira in her Kessel outfit from Solo, even though the movie didn't do super gangbusters. It's got a massive fan following. That character is amazing. That outfit's amazing. It's got a cape.
Yeah.
Please make it. All right, let's pretend that's not a question. Just please make her, please.
Riffing ideas.
Begging.
They weren't going to tell me if I asked, "Are you going to make it?"
Of course.
So it's just like, just ask them to make it.
Yeah. That's
hopefully they will. Hopefully they will.
Yeah, that's one of the things that, going into these is, people say like, why didn't you ask him for this? Or why don't you ask him for that? It's like, I mean, we can't ask him for anything. All we can really do is give him suggestions and, hope that,
they're never going to tell you.
Exactly. Like, they're never going to tell us. All we can really do is suggest things. And, if we repeat things enough, maybe, we'll have some little influence on, some tiny itty bitty influence on what decisions maybe they make. But,
yeah, to some level, they do listen to the fans. It doesn't mean that we get, a wave of 30 figures every year that's listening to the fans. Now it's like you get the Gonk droid.
Yeah.
But, we're getting Plo Koon and Count Dooku finally in the 6-inch series.
Yeah, exactly. But,
the Hoth Trooper and Black Series, like, they're making the things. They're slowly chipping away at it.
But if we're asking for Kira repeatedly, I know I asked them that same question at Comic-Con last year, and
every time we
if
ask,
other people are asking the question, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we desperately need that figure. In 6 inch especially, but I think it'd be awesome to see Kira on a vintage collection card back as well.
That would be cool. That would be super cool.
It would be, and I've bought like all of those to keep carded like in the vintage collection because I love Solo and.
Yes,
all those figures look great.
I've done the same thing. I loved Solo.
Yeah,
I loved it.
Let me just ask you one last one here.
Absolutely.
We have to ask about the Tonica sisters again. Angela Staines, who played one of the sisters in the movie, is in contact with Victoria from Victoria's Cantina, and is ready to finally authorize the creation of her figure. What can we do to make this happen?
I recall speaking to Victoria, actually being very excited about speaking to Victoria about this at San Diego last year.
She's delightful.
Yeah, she is. And I can't speak to any of the specifics. We've definitely have, we're aware of it. I believe Lucasfilm is aware of it, but I can't speak to any of the specifics of that figure.
Fair enough. I think those are all my questions. Thank you very much. Really appreciate your time.
Thanks for having.
Thank you very much.
So there's the Tonica question.
Yeah, there's a Tonica question. The question that comes up all the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know what action they've taken on that since I gave him that information that she's ready to, sign the rights to have her sign away the rights to her likeness to finally get merchandise made. But hopefully there has been some action. I couldn't really gauge from his response whether or not they've actually done anything with that. But What do you think?
Nope. I couldn't tell you either. It was definitely the we're getting Tanaka question again reaction. But I don't know. I've honestly got no read on it whatsoever beyond what he said.
Yeah.
There's always the wonder for me, like, is there something else behind the entire thing other than just a likeness rights things? Like my conspiracy brain starts to go off and be like,
Yeah. Well, you listened to my interview with her, right?
yeah, oh yeah. That made it seem pretty clear that it was just what she was just like, yeah, just send me one of the action figures.
Yeah.
I was like, all right.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah, I don't know.
So yeah, I mean, he did say that Lucasfilm is aware of it. So he thinks, right? So if Lucasfilm is aware of it, then it sounds to me like perhaps Hasbro initiated some sort of conversation about it with them.
Right. Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. Yeah.
But also, Angela is making a lot more convention appearances lately. She has been like.
Oh.
Yeah, she's not anything like Celebration or Comic-Con, anything like that, but she has been making her way to like the smaller ones, like in Europe and around the U.S. and
that's super fun.
and all that sparked by the chat that I had with her a few years back. She really enjoyed that, and I don't think she had really realized that there was such demand for her figure or for
that's amazing.
Yeah, or for the Tanaka sisters. So.
Yeah, that's that Star Wars picture I was in. I was just a background character. Do people like those Star Wars pictures?
Exactly.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, I saw The Force Awakens, and yeah. So, no, I'm still in touch with her. I was confused when I was watching The Force Awakens because it felt like I was watching the one that I was in. little shade on The Force Awakens. Yeah, I hear it.
You're still in touch with her?
Yeah, I'm still in touch with her, and Angela still, seems excited about the whole thing. So I'm hoping that, we hear something eventually, or that,
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't seen any indications or heard anything from her that, she's been contacted, but it sounds like hopefully, the ball at the very least is in the early stages of being in motion maybe, or, there are conversations that have been initiated. So I guess, at the very least, that's more progress than there's been in 40 some years, right? So
yeah, no, absolutely. Hasbro finally gets to get away from the current Disney movie cycle that they've been in for, the past 5 years, right? So rather than all their resources going to whatever the next new movie is, maybe this period coming up now, they'll have the chance to, like, if Hasbro reaches out to Lucasfilm, they're like, hey, Lucasfilm, so-and-so from the movie 40 years ago is ready to have an action figure made. And Lucasfilm says, but we're doing Rise of Skywalker. Worry about that,
Right.
That might be why we haven't heard anything yet, because it's not on Lucasfilm's radar right now.
Yeah.
Or up till now. And so now maybe Hasbro can poke again and be like, hey, what about that? And they'll be like, yeah, sure, whatever.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
Could be.
Yeah, totally. So, yeah, no, that's actually a good point as well. Like, hopefully now they'll be able to focus a little bit more on, the original trilogy or the prequel trilogy, or, I mean,
some of the gaps from
Solo,
stuff. There's still things from
Rogue
Solo,
One.
Rogue One, Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's plenty of other things. It doesn't always have to be the next thing. Go buy the set of figures from a movie you're not going to see for 3 more months. It's like I couldn't even do that this past time. I was like, nah, I'm going to wait and see the movie and
I mean, I
pick stuff after that.
At the end of the day, I still get the most excited for original trilogy stuff. I couldn't tell you why. It's just like, I obviously love all the other content as well to different extents, but like the original trilogy stuff, when I see merchandise of that stuff, it's like I don't even like hesitate. It's like I need it.
Yeah, I think these days for me, like, I get more excited about prequel trilogy stuff, even though, like, I have my opinions of those movies as far as, like, the craft going into them, but like the design sense in those was so neat that I get very excited for any, Attack of the Clones. I trash on all the time, even though I'll be if someone comes to my house and says, hey, do you want to put Attack of the Clones on, I'm already putting the Blu-ray in before they finish saying it.
Yep.
But I think it's got the best designs of all the prequel trilogy stuff. It's just amazing stuff.
Oh, that's true.
So Yeah, I get really excited for prequel trilogy stuff now. But that's also because I have so much original trilogy stuff that, like, prequel trilogy starts to feel a little bit like there's more gaps there.
Yeah, at the same time, though, I mean, I feel like during the prequel era, they really milked, like, the toy lines. So
they did.
I feel like I'm trying to think of, like, when I think of, like, what figures do we still need for the prequels, I start thinking of, like, really, like, tertiary things like Dorme the Handmaiden. You know,
yeah, Klieg Lars. We really need old Klieg Lars.
Shmi was my wife. As he comes,
yeah, past Dawn and them sand peoples. They is the worst.
And then he's like, you know, I can't continue looking for her until my leg heals. And then a minute later, he's like, accepted. So
she's dead. I didn't even go looking for her. I just heard she was gone. I'm like, I've got my whiskey to finish here. I'll check it out later. Gloop, gloop, gloop. Oh, good luck, Shmi. I got that dowry from Watto.
Was she picking the mushrooms off the moisture wrap?
I don't know. This is the silliest thing ever. And then I'm sorry. I know this will upset some folk, but like, I feel so. Anakin, he killed the women and the children, but like, sand people are goblins. They're like goblins in a fantasy. It's like, oh no, you went to the orc village and killed all the orcs. The orcs were going around marauding and killing people. Right. I don't feel bad for the orc babies. Yeah. Maybe I'm just racist against Tusken Raiders.
Yeah.
Anyway. Good old Star Wars.
Good old Star Wars. I guess,
yeah,
it's still fun after all this time, so.
Oh, yeah. I have just as much fun getting excited about it as I do complaining about it.
Yep, totally. But yeah, no, I think that pretty well covers, everything going on with, Hasbro's New York Toy Fair stuff. I know we didn't talk about absolutely everything that they brought up, which, it's not really feasible to do that, but we're here to focus primarily on Star Wars, and I think we did a good job doing that.
It was fun. It was a good time.
It was. So again, huge thank you, Tom, for going over there and covering everything just as you did last year, and talking to Hasbro and getting the lowdown with our Q&A and seeing what's going on. We really appreciate all of that.
Oh, it was an absolute blast, and sorry I didn't give you muddy underwater looking film footage this time.
No, we're fine. We're fine.
Yeah.
And hugely thanks to Hasbro for inviting us out there, and Litzky PR, and for Sam for talking to us about Hasbro Star Wars. And we're always excited to talk to them about things that are going on, and for the opportunity to be able to ask them questions and present them with our feedback and our ideas. So that's always hugely appreciated.
Our screaming demands.
Exactly, our screaming demands.
Yeah, he's an absolutely delightful guy. Those guys are great.
They're very nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll just keep seeing things trickle out like last year. If you looked at Toy Fair last year, you might have been disappointed, but by the end of the year, you find out you've got half a dozen prequel trilogy figures coming out. So
right.
Pretty awesome.
Well, Tom, as always, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for coming on and filling us in on New York Toy Fair 2020. And we look forward to talking to you again real soon.
All right. Cheers. Have a good night, Victoria.
You too. Bye-bye. If you aren't already, subscribe to the place it all started, the Victoria's Cantina YouTube channel, where I review new toys and showcase retro toys from the past. You can also follow us for news and updates on Facebook by looking up Victoria's Cantina, toy photography on Instagram at Victoria's Cantina, and a constant drip of toy-related and other random and nonsensical tweets on Twitter at Vic's Cantina. If you're so inclined, we are on Patreon. Gain greater access to Victoria's Cantina by becoming a Patreon Cantina patron. For as little as $1 a month, you'll help to keep the show going and also get exclusive content such as access to a private Twitter feed, early access to toy reviews, and behind-the-scenes featurettes. And if you can't, but you still want to help us out, one of the easiest and most helpful things you can do is leave us a review over on Apple Podcasts. It only takes a minute, so hit that 5-star rating and leave a note stating why you enjoy the show. It'll make us more visible on iTunes and help others to find our show. As always, I'm Victoria, and no matter where you're listening out in the galaxy, I'd like to thank you for tuning in to the Cantina Chatter podcast.